even on the buses, that can be pretty time consuming, especially if you're the last stop over here on Arnold. You're gonna want to like save 30 minutes. I mean, wouldn't you guys agree if you're taking the buses? Like,
Yeah.
Also, one thing that I had to get used to driving was one-way streets because I come from a smaller city. Um, we don't have those, and so you become really acquainted with those,
sorry
and
about that.
also realize how awesome they are. Like, if you're going anywhere north, like you should take Drayton. If you're going anywhere south, you should take Whitaker, because otherwise you have to go around all of these lovely, beautiful squares and get caught behind trolleys, and it's terrible. So, more carriages.
Yeah, that's
So
the other
many-
thing people
so
don't
many
realize. What were you saying, Eva?
Yep.
Oh, I just said this is bringing up so many wonderful memories of like walking downtown really fast.
Pretty much.
I feel like I was a speed walker. I had some really good records of getting to like Bull Street to the porch and then like to Norris Hall. Like I
Norris.
still remember booking it down there like every
You
day.
have the leg length to like really book it if you're a power walker.
I'm
I
not
found
really
it
a
would
power
be
walker, I
easier
just pretend
sometimes to well, it'd be better to walk, or it would be better to um sorry, I got a text. Anyway, it'd be easier to walk somewhere. It'd actually be faster sometimes to go from Anderson Hall and walk over to Arnold than to bother waiting for the bus to come get you, loop around, go to Wallen, and then go to Arnold. Or the worst scheduling that I ever had was the building's not Norris Hall anymore, because Sequential Art has moved to Heyman's, which is closer to Shop Scad and Pulaski House right now. Isn't it like technically right there by Shop Scad?
Yeah, it's like almost conjoined with the building. Also, I think it's still called Norris. It's just used as the ESL building now.
Oh, okay. So technically, you could be over here at Norris Hall and then be like, oh, darn it, I have a half an hour to go to Wallen. So there's not going to be a bus that will take you to Wallen that lands at Norris. So if you took the buses, you would have to go from Norris and then loop back probably to the freshman area or to O House. It'll go to the freshman area first, then it'll go from O House. You can get on another bus line and then go all the way down here. So what I did is I thought it was worthwhile to get a bike because I could just go all the way down here, which seems like a long ride, and yeah, it is, but better to do that in 25 minutes than the upwards of an hour sometimes. So yeah, that's just my warning to people. You can have terrible scheduling, and not all the professors are sympathetic, which is way too bad.
Some of them are, but not all of them.
Let's see, what else? I guess we could talk about what do you guys do for fun in Savannah when you're not slaving away. Just kidding, you're not going to have time for fun at all because you're just going to be working all the time forever.
Not entirely true, but mostly true. The longer I've been at Scad, the more I've been able to well, I shouldn't say able because the coursework gets worse, but the more I have gone to Tybee, the beach, which is a really close drive. So that's really fun. Yeah, they have a great coffee shop there that's called the Tybee, which is really cute. But I would go there and work with some friends sometimes, and then we'd go to the beach to decompress, I guess, and then get back to work. So it's fun.
Yeah, that's definitely something you can do if you have a car. There's no Scad buses except for during the sand festival that go out there. So you really either need to have a car or network with people that do have cars to get there. I think Sarah and I, when we were our first year there, we always talked about taking a city bus to Tybee. Apparently there's one for tourists that meets over by MLK, and some street. I don't remember, but we never took it, so I don't know if that's reliable or if it still runs. But yeah.
What other
Also,
stuff
there's
is
a
fun
great-
to do?
I was going to talk about coffee shops.
Oh yeah, do it. What do you
Yes.
recommend?
Do it.
Because that can be fun and work.
Good. You
but
need that combo.
yeah. So, Old Faithful is Foxy Loxy, which is right by Arnold Hall. There's Butterhead Greens, which is right across the street, which is like good if you're in a pinch, but if you walk a little farther down, Foxy Loxy is great. And now they have a shop right next to their coffee shop that's called Shop the Fox, and they've got all kinds of like cool coffee things and like art things. So yeah, I really like that place. There's lots of seating. They've got a courtyard out back. They've got the inside, and they've now got an upstairs, which is really cool. And then my like all-time favorite right now, or for the past year, is the Foundry, which is really close to Anderson Hall. It's like right across the street. Lots of table space for working. Their lighting is really cool, and they've got really great drinks at a reasonable price. So that's my favorite.
And then Coffee Fox is the sister store to Foxy Loxy, which is in town on Broughton Street, and they have mostly the same menu, don't they? As far as I know.
I think they do less food,
Yeah.
and they might not have the one Foxy has, because on Saturday nights they have Fire and Wine, where they have fire yard, and you can roast marshmallows for free, and you can buy wine for half off. It's really fun. I did it for my 21st birthday.
Excellent.
That sounds really fun. Yeah, I remember like when we were at Scad, there was a bunch of events. Like you get to know more like not everyone there's most of the people your age are going to be Scad students, but not everyone is. And some of them are, you know, especially fun to like intermix with your majors. And I remember going to Foxy Loxy to hear people sing with the porch and stuff, and that was really fun. And I liked those moments more than just I didn't really go out and study that much. I've had friends who go out to coffee shops and study, like when they're going to study, that's where they go. I was much more like get my work done at home and then go out and mingle. But yeah, I like that there were these fun events at these coffee shops that you could meet up with your friends. And there's events like all over Scad that they have like free food and then like lots of people to like mingle with and have fun and hang out with and maybe go do something after. So yeah.
What other than coffee shops, what are some restaurants? What are some of your favorite places to eat?
Well, there's this place called Flying Monk that I ate at when I visited, and that would have been my favorite Asian restaurant in Savannah if I had it when I was actually going to college. That was pretty good. And that's like probably like they have some pretty good Thai food places, but for me being like West Coast Asian food snob, yeah, most of the Asian places are kind of like, oh, okay, like this is like I don't eat sushi there at all. Some people really like it there though, but I'm like, this is not no. Okay, but yeah. So the other than like Flying Monk, I really like B&D Burgers. They have like a buy one get one half off on Thursdays, and then Zunzi's for sure. I love Zunzi's.
Totally.
My like only experiences at Zunzi's were like the first time I went, everyone told me to like drown my stuff in the sauces, and I'm not a vinegar person, and so
so you probably didn't like it.
And then
at
my
all.
second time, yeah, and then so my second time I went, it was fun, and it was after the wedding that we went to, Lisa, and anyway, but I was like starving, and so I don't know. I'd need to go again with like fresh eyes before I leave.
Fresh eyes. Yeah, it's definitely not for everybody. It's isn't it like South African, or it's definitely a different twist. I don't really get what about it is South African, other than it's like sausage and potatoes and shepherd's
same.
pie,
They had
and
falafel,
it's really like.
and I was like, that's Middle Eastern food, isn't it? It's like Mediterranean cuisine. I don't know. It's kind of a mishmash of stuff, but there was a lot that I liked about that place.
Sorry, my dog's gonna go crazy real quick. But yeah, I've heard, I don't know, it was told to me on the what was it, like orientation bus ride. They were like, everyone goes here. And I like their sauce.
You must try it.
I like their what was it? It was their like Oliver's lunch special. That was like my favorite thing to order there. So it's not for everybody though. I know Chiu didn't really like it. But yeah, it's worth trying at least once.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the school events that you try to go to each year? Like, for me, I know that the film festival was always awesome, but it was so hard to get into.
I never try with the film festival. I'm always like, meh. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
I volunteered, and that was a really fun experience. I definitely recommend volunteering because you definitely meet more people. I wouldn't say don't volunteer to meet celebrities because that doesn't really happen to especially freshmen. Like, it doesn't happen unless you're lucky and you're a senior. But
I'm sorry about that though. But go ahead.
Okay, so I ended up working the snack bar in the morning hours, which was really weird because it's like, who wants popcorn this early? But it was fun because I got to meet some other scaddies, and then just got like the feel of how to like run the theater, like going behind the stage or like going out back and getting ice and then working the snack bar. It was kind of nice, and we use that facility a lot, but usually as a Scad student, that's just average. You don't get to see it round. You just go and sit down and then leave. Like, you don't get to see how it runs or anything. So that was really fun. And I think there was like a Nickelodeon panel I went to that was linked with that. But other than that, there wasn't like anything. Like, the films were all really cool, but they weren't anything I knew about at the time. I think with my film knowledge now, I would have appreciated maybe going and seeing some films. I know my roommate Sarah did. She always thought it was awesome. But yeah, Kailee, tell us your story about meeting celebrities.
Yeah, so I didn't do anything with the film festival, but your freshman year, you have to take this thing called what is it even called? First year experience. Yep. And anyway, my freshman year, they were kind of like debuting The Amazing Spider-Man, and they had Stan Lee in town. And another friend of mine had, like a portfolio reviewed by him, and so he was around. We knew he was around. But we're like freshmen, so we're like, okay, whatever. Stanley's here, there's no chance. He comes into our first year experience class.
It's not even fair.
It's not, because like the lady who was like in charge of the classes or whatever, like was having breakfast with him and was like, well, if you have some free time, this class has a ton of sequential kids in it, and it'd be really cool. So yeah, I got to like ask him some questions, which was like cool, but like he's really hard of hearing, so I was trying to ask him who his favorite character he created was. He had to like keep coming closer to me, like, what? But anyway.
Did you touch him? Did you like reach out?
It was fun, so I felt like after that I didn't really need to do anything else with the film festival.
Understandably so. That's like life goals, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's hard to play the game of like what movies are going to be the ones that make it big or anything like that. I only went my last year, and I did the whole thing where you like wait outside to see if somebody doesn't show up so you can have their ticket, and I did, but I wouldn't do that with everything, not at all. It's not worth it. But if you had nothing else to do that night, which randomly I did, senior year, how did that happen? But it was a lot of fun. I like the film festival. They bring some cool stuff, some really weird things. The animation show of shows is something I try to go to each year. So good.
That's really cool. Last year I actually did go see, it was with a class though. It was with my character design and storyboarding for animation class. We went and saw Book of Life, which was awesome. And just like any animation that you see in like the Trustees Theater with a bunch of like Scad kids is so different than watching it anywhere else, because everyone's like freaking out at everything, and like everyone's as excited as you are. But afterwards, it was really cool. The director, Guillermo del Toro, I think is his name.
Yeah, you did it.
He had like a Q&A and stuff, which was cool. But yeah, good things.
I still haven't seen that movie. It's so
Scad brings a lot of
so
like
beautiful.
not just during the film festival.
I heard
Yeah.
all of Lisa's. What did you say, Eva?
Oh, I know. Sorry. I saw like, or I didn't see. Sorry, I'm getting my thoughts. Okay, yeah. Scad does a lot of films throughout the year too. He doesn't just do them like Scad's a he. They don't just host them like during the film festival. Like, there's usually some in the spring, like speckled throughout the year. I know during Christmas or during Halloween, like during those 2 seasons, they'll do like thematic kind of like shows showing. There's like the Trustees Theater and like the Lucas Theater, and so they kind of like switch off where they're going to be showed. But that's always fun. And then they'll always show like something really cool in the spring as a reward to the people who served at the film festival. But it's open to everybody. It's just the film festival people get like first seating or something like that. I forget. So
were you guys there when they showed the Lego movie when it was new?
No.
Yes.
Or wait, we
I
were?
saw that.
Oh.
It was.
I didn't see it though.
That was really fun. Yeah.
It was a great experience. I think I wouldn't have loved that movie as much as I did if I hadn't been with a bunch of Scad students watching it and laughing at the same time.
Yeah, you came in the same group that I went in, right?
Yeah, I think I was sitting with you.
Yeah. You sat like really close to me. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Good times.
It was a fun experience. So, but on top of like seeing the movies, Scad does these really cool open houses. And like the Fibers open house and like the fine art like painting open house, those were always really fun to go to because they had like free food that you could just like gorge on, and you could look at other people's art, and it was really cool to see other people.
Priorities, yeah. I also really like the Sidewalk Arts Festival. That's awesome. It's usually like on my birthday, which is kind of interesting. It has been at least twice. But yeah, so it's in like April, like late April. And you can like sign up for a square or like have a group that has multiple squares and you all just create something. And you have a certain amount of time and there are awards, but it's mostly just fun to like go and draw and paint and look at everyone else's, because some people get like super intense with it and like they'll have their like mashed up, paint that they've made out of the chalk and they'll like paint on it. I remember my first year going, I went there and I was like, all right, chalk drawing. And then my roommate, who was like right next to me, she was like, okay, I've got my paint cups and my paintbrushes and my water and my little thing to kneel on. And I was just not prepared.
Yeah, people have so many great ideas. They're so intense with it.
Yeah, and there, you have some pictures. I had some friends who did group ones and ended up winning 2 years in a row. Yeah. So.
No, it's super cool. Like, my first year, I did the Sidewalk Festival. I did it by myself, and I had a similar experience where I was like, okay, this is chalk, so I'm going to use it like chalk. But pretty much the majority of people use it like paint and crush up the chalk and then mix it with water, which it works out, I think, in the end a little better because it like stains the road. And so when you have accidents like spilling your water on it, it doesn't destroy your chalk. But my first year, I didn't spill, but it was a lot to do a square by myself, and I did just like a basic thing, but it was a lot, but it's really fun, and I think the atmosphere overall is really lighthearted. You don't really get to intensive people unless you're working with them, and that's the only like thing is like if you join a group or if you're working with a pair, one of them can be super competitive and be like, we have to win, and that will change the dynamic of the whole thing. But
that's how I felt about sand
in a group
arts.
that you know is gonna yeah, sand arts too.
Yeah, or Lisa, didn't you have a bad experience with sand art?
Horrible. One that could ruin it for everybody. Mostly, okay, so the Sand Arts Festival, for those of you who don't know, I don't have any pictures of it because I had such a bad time. I love this one. I'll just leave it on this. But at the Sand Arts Festival, they have the same kind of competition where you make sculptures out of the sand, and everybody said, you know, it's going to be the hottest day of the year, just show up in your swimsuit, it's going to be just like a hot, miserable day, but it's a ton of fun, show up in your swimsuit, get some sunscreen, all of that, and yeah, I just showed up in my swimsuit, like they said, and I really didn't bring any like extra clothing other than shorts and a t-shirt to put over it, and the day it was out of nowhere like 62 degrees outside and it rained the entire time, and it was on Tybee Island, so I had no way to get back home because the bus wasn't going to come get us, and the people that I came with, they wanted to stay till the very end, and I was so miserable. I was like, no, I changed my mind, I want to go home, I don't want to do this anymore, can we just go? And everybody's like, no, we're going to stay and we're going to win, you have to fight it through. And I was just like, no, it's so cold. I'm wet. I didn't bring any clothes. And we're like on the other side of the island, so I can't even go to any of the thrift shops. Or not thrift shops. I can't go any of the little souvenir stores and pick up a Tybee Island hoodie or anything like that. So I just froze and I was miserable. But eventually some friends came to tour the area and like look at people's stuff, and they're like, oh, hey Lisa, we didn't know you were here. I'm like, take me home. And they did. So that is my story. It's fun if you can like get home when you want to. Otherwise, prepare to be stuck out there for at least like 6 hours. Just saying.
Yeah. Bring food too. That's a big thing. Is there's like one restaurant in the area and they're usually swamped and unable to handle the amount of people. So I remember we brought food the one year that I've gone, I brought a cooler with food in it, and I was like very popular. I didn't participate in making anything. We just wanted to enjoy the beach. And there was a bus then that took us back, but that was really just by chance that we ran across it and was like, oh, are you heading back? They're like, yeah. And we're like, okay, we're done. Like that, we got really lucky. But it was cold that day too. Like it wasn't really warm for beach hanging out. It was kind of like wear your hoodie, get sand all over you, don't go in the water. Yeah.
The sand art, or not sand arts, sidewalk festival got rained out this past year.
Oh, really?
Aww.
Yeah, it did, which is kind of sad. But I love that. That's awesome.
Oh, the He-Man.
The He-Man Nyan Cat thing. What was it? Oh, and like almost the same group of friends that won an award 2 years at the Sidewalk Arts Festival. They also did really well at the Sand Arts Festival. Last year they did, they sculpted that guy, the like fat guy from Lilo and Stitch.
Oh,
that
was so good. I saw that.
Yeah, he's like laying on the sand. It's so funny. It's so funny.
It's beautiful. So it seems there's a trend with having a collaborative group and making art versus making
it's all about collaboration.
Teamwork, I don't know. My team didn't do so well, so I was just like, well, they made a great sculpture. I just bailed, so I told them to take me off the credits, like if they get anything for it. I'm like, I am not contributing. I'm so cold and tired.
Oh.
So definitely a lot of stuff to do, like at Tybee Island and the different restaurants. There's always like shopping on Broughton Street. There's a mall. Trying to think of what other fun stuff there is. There are the ghost tours if you really are into that. No.
They're okay.
I've never been
I didn't
on
enjoy
one.
the ghost tour I went on.
Me neither. It's it's always funny also seeing the slow ride go by.
Oh, tell them about what
Yes.
slow ride is.
But that's if you're a tourist and you want to get drunk while pedaling and making a trolley move. Yeah.
I forgot
Burning
about
those
slow ride.
calories.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I did a Scad vlog about that. It was like weird things that are only in Savannah, and it was like the slow ride, the Segway, and the ghost tours in the hearses that are converted into a car.
Yeah.
Like,
Those
cars.
weird
Yeah.
trolleys and such. It's always terrible, like driving up. If I ever have to drive to Hayman's Hall, getting stuck behind a horse and buggy, it's just, and all the horses look so sad and overworked.
Yeah, it's got to be hard to take care of them, though. I don't know. What else? I forgot about slow ride. I'm glad that you brought that up. I thought about doing it, but my 21st birthday, we just like went out and we should have done that instead.
The slow ride for your 21st? That's
no,
hilarious.
I wish we would have.
Oh, okay.
We just went out somewhere and I didn't like what I got, so that was sad.
I would.
Oh, I didn't realize you didn't like what you had. I'm sorry. I had never been to, what is it, tapas?
Papas?
Yeah.
I would love to just like go undercover as a tourist in Savannah. I think it'd be hilarious. Just like crash a trolley or Segway or something tour. There's also that one guy who's always in like the white suit, and he's like the most southern man you'll ever meet.
Does he do tours?
Yeah. He's always like by Leopold's and stuff.
Yeah, he's a tour guide. Like, you like meet up with him and then he like takes you around. I don't know who he works for or how you like schedule a tour with him, but yeah, he's a tour guide in costume.
He works with the government.
He's undercover.
Oh, I know one last thing that we could talk about that I wish somebody would have talked about with me is like what churches there are in the area. I think we're all biased because we all went to the same church, but there are other places to go. We all went to Bull Street Baptist Church, which is great. It's pretty close in location to Arnold Hall, which was the lecture building that I mentioned earlier. So far away from the dorms, but they provide some transportation on Sunday mornings to get there. And they have Thursday night get-togethers once classes are over for the week, just as kind of like a college ministry get-together thing. You can talk about that, Kailee, because you kind of ran the show for a little bit.
Yeah, I was in charge of transportation and hospitality. I'm now off of leadership, but I have been on it for like the past like 2 years. So yeah, it's a really great church, like super solid, like biblical teaching by Calvin, and just like a really great community where you feel really welcome. So I would highly recommend it. Again, yeah, I'm biased, but there are lots of other great like ministries and denominational churches in the area too.
Yeah, let's see. There's CBC, which I can't for the life of me remember what that stands for. Do you guys?
Christian, it's something Bible church, I think. Community Bible?
I think
it's
so.
Community Bible.
We had some friends who went to CBC. We knew some people who went to City Church. Those are all like really contemporary churches. Eva, where did you go
City
with
Church?
Laura and Lynette?
Oh, well, I went to actually quite a few churches in Savannah, so I kind of know most of them except for CBC. I went to the Episcopal Church St. John's, the Episcopal Church, not the Catholic Cathedral.
Not St. John the Baptist, but St. John.
There's a difference. Okay, but yeah, so if you hear that name, St. John's, you might get confused, but just clarify, St. John the Baptist. Yes, that will help you. Okay, so anyway, the Episcopal Church was really welcoming and lovely for a fancy time. That's more of those like Anglican, more traditional ritualistic churches, if that's your fancy, or if you just want to explore that, it would be great. It's not too like intimidating. So if you just were like, I want to see how a fancy, beautiful church runs, like feel free to go inside. Also, the Catholic Cathedral is, I've never gone to mass there, but it's open during like every day for just tours or just like walking inside and looking around. So feel free to go and take a peek in there because it's gorgeous. But I've also had a friend who went there for like actual mass. There's also the late night church that is at the theater. And were you there to go with us, Lisa? When we
I
went
went there
see
once.
Dove
I forgot
play
about
the
that.
guitar?
Yeah, because Professor Dove
Yeah,
from the sequential
that one
department,
was
he
cool.
still plays guitar there,
Yeah,
I think, in the worship band.
yeah. And it happens in the evenings. So if you're like a late night person or you like to go to church, they have morning services too. But if you like to go like at a more reasonable, not at the crack of dawn time, then that's definitely a church I would suggest checking out. The city, wait, is it the city church? City church? Yeah, city church has changed a lot since I went there, so I can't really speak for it anymore. But at the time, it was like one of the only non-denominational churches that I knew of, and so it runs that way. If you're from like a non-denominational background, but I think they've changed location. I don't think they're in the same spot, so I'm not. They used to be really close to like the freshman dorms off of MLK, and they were really like easy to walk to. And they had a lot of fun events too for like Scad students, so I enjoyed that. There's the Presbyterian church that has the huge spire that's like super white and tall and not like all the other spires like things. Anyway, so that one was really cool too. They do a fun dinner, and they have quite a few college students. They host the other college night. I forgot what they were called though.
Oh, RUF.
RUF, yeah, they host RUF in their basement. Creepy, but cool. It was really nice. It wasn't creepy at all.
And that
but,
stands for Reformed
just saying it's in their
University
basement.
Fellowship, right?
Fellowship.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
They're a good
but
group.
their Sunday service I haven't been to, but they have like a evening service on Sundays that is like music and then a dinner afterwards. So again, a lot of these church groups, they have like food events, which is wonderful.
Eva, I feel like everything that you've talked about, you're like, and there was food.
Hey, people want to know.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I just think it's funny that it's a theme.
It's hilarious.
Yep. Well, I have a lot of anxiety of not getting like my fill. So when I'm like go to an event and there's food and there's enough food for me to eat and be happy, like that is a thing that I get really anxious about. Like when I was serving for the film festival, they're like, no, it wasn't the film festival. The film festival had enough pizza, like Scad does pretty good, but I remember our RA had said, oh yeah, we're gonna have a common room meeting and there'll be pizza. And we came down like at the time that was written, and the whole dorm had eaten all the pizza already.
So
and it was like my heart right there scarred for life. That feeling of like that was my dinner and now I don't have any. So it's like for me, making sure an event, like if someone's like, we have food, and then finding out that they actually legitly like have food every week consistently, that's a nice thing to have. Socializing and guaranteed dinner were free.
To like,
that was a good way to put it.
to kind of derail the church conversation for a second, but that reminds me, incoming or prospective freshmen, be prepared for your RAs to like bribe you with food. They'll be like, come to my room and get
Yes.
cookies, talk, and you'll have to sign this paper, but we'll talk, But eventually they kind of give up by the time you're an upperclassman. Or
It's true.
I don't know. Or you actually become friends with them because they're in the same class as you instead of being older. So,
That's a good point.
It's tough. Cut them slack.
And
But
then
anyway,
there
back to
are
churches.
tons of RAs in the main buildings, but some of the small buildings ones, like I know Pulaski only has the one RA, and you'll never have as good of an RA as Cassie Anderson. Aw.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I think that answered everything I wanted to talk about. Any other final thoughts about Scad, anything that you guys think everybody should know about campus life and what's it like to be in Savannah, Georgia?
Don't stay, or I haven't. Have any of you stayed over spring break and experienced the St. Patty's Day madness?
I haven't.
Yes, every year.
Tell us about it, Eva.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, St. Patrick's Day. Crazy. The only year that I didn't go to the actual parade, like go outside and smell the stench, was my senior year, because I had my wisdom teeth out and it rained that year, and I was just like, what drunk people throwing up doesn't sound good this day. So I didn't go. But the first 2 years that I was there, I did attend, and it's usually like a sunny day. It starts very early in the morning, and when I say really early, that's like if you want a seat at the parade, that people go at like 8 a.m. and you're like, what is this? And people, like, there's all these fraternities, sororities from all over like the East Coast come. You're like, where did you come from? Like, where have you been this whole year? Like, we don't, Scad doesn't have fraternities or sororities, so it's very weird to be like, oh, all these frat kids walking around with all their alcohol and all their crazy boisterous behavior. Anyway, so yes, it's really fun to see the city participate. It's a little out of hand and crazy and can be dangerous if you don't take care of yourself. So yeah, there's a lot of drinking involved. You're allowed to have open carry, like with alcohol, which isn't always allowed in some states or cities. So that makes Savannah special because everybody's just walking around with their green beer and smoking all sorts of stuff and in mass, like sweaty, confined spaces. Like over 1 million people came one year, and it was just crazy. I think it gets the most intense in the evening, obviously, because people start drinking at like 10 a.m. So yeah, that's St. Patrick's Day. Lots of green, lots of celebration. I have, I think, footage, I think, on my Scad vlog. I don't remember. I think I did.
With, I feel like Jennifer had a really funny story.
Kind of, yeah. She really wanted to see drunk people. Like that was her goal, was to be like,
she had never
yeah, she saw a pile of vomit, but we didn't witness anyone throw up.
That's funny.
So yeah, it's in the evening if that's what you want to see. But it's dark, it's crowded, and there's tons of drunk people doing drunk things. So I would not recommend doing it. But who was it? I think oh, it's not Jennifer. It's who was Jordan's sister, and Jordan went out an evening, and that was I remember they had like a story of dealing with that craziness. But
yeah, there was something involving like trying to turn a car around, or I don't know. Anyway,
yeah,
it's crazy.
A lot of weird things.
It's all crazy.
But
yeah, so
it's
you're
fun.
into the
I always like
craziness.
this.
Oh, what were you saying, Eva?
Oh, I just like in the spring, it's a really nice feeling. Like in Savannah, it's very beautiful. It's got a like happy energy because there's a lot of tourists in that time. So there's definitely just this like happy buzz going on, even though it's like finals and the end of the year, and there's a lot of stress at that time for Scad students. But I feel like the city in itself is like the prettiest then.
I always have a running tally of how many times I get asked for directions. I guess I'm just really approachable looking, or I look like I know what I'm doing, but I'm like a magnet to tourists. It's so weird. I've been asked by like little Asian families, couples, like old people.
You just got that kind of
face. By now I can actually give them the directions. What were you gonna say?
You just got that kind of face, I guess. So trustworthy. Ask me anything. Yep. So if you don't want that kind of craziness, maybe skip out. Otherwise, stick around for spring break and prepare to not go anywhere, I guess.
Buckle down.
Buckle down.
I worked on internships.
Yeah, work on internship stuff, which we should talk about that
sometime,
what that's all like. But I think that's
I'm
everything to
assuming.
cover today. Was there anything else you guys can think of?
I mean, I'm assuming you talked about like more Sequa departmenty stuff in a different episode.
Yeah, we'll do
or whatever.
a whole sequential department thing. Maybe we can get Erica on the show sometime. She can tell us about her magic.
Not this month, but yeah, maybe
Okay, next year.
soon. She's in California right now. Yeah, next year.
All right, guys. Well,
Fantastic.
thank you so much for joining me. It does look like the stream kept cutting out, but I did record it anyway, so I might have to re-upload it to YouTube. Yeah.
Aww.
So we'll see how that goes, but gonna hit that stop streaming button in 3, 2, 1.
Bye.